Like, can we go back to the days where people just minded their own business and just worried about what's going on in their lives? You have a right as a citizen, as a resident of the country and of the state, to voice your opinion, to force babies to come into this world, right? But then you have babies getting shot in school and nothing's been done about it. But why do you care if Susan down the block has her child? Like, that has no effect on you. Do not be in my comments talking about some, oh, well, just don't have sex. Shut up. It's giving y'all are trying to control women. It's giving y'all are trying to control women's bodies. If they were able to do this, what else are they gonna do? Hey guys, it's Bree. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video, and I am back with a very tragic video. As you guys have probably all seen, and if not, maybe you're hearing it here for the first time, but I doubt it. But as of today, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. And for you guys who don't know, which you should, considering that this is taught in schools, but basically I am going to explain what this case is, explain what this ruling means, and I'm also going to be talking about my personal thoughts, which again, these are my thoughts. I want to preface this by saying that this is not a video or a space for people to attack each other. And if y'all, get too out of line, I know what the block button is. But I kind of just wanted to get on here and talk about this because it's really important, but also it's just really scary to see. It's scary to see like what's going on in the world, and I could probably make another video just about that, but just like it just doesn't feel real. Like 2022 just does not feel real because of everything that's happening, and I feel like something like this is really gonna like wake a lot of people up to be like, okay, I need to be paying attention to what's going on because it's a lot. But yeah, basically I am going to touch a little bit about Roe v. Wade and everything that's going on. Okay, so because I am horrible at explaining things, I want to make sure that I get everything right and accurate. This isn't to say that I don't know what's going on, but I just want to make sure that I am getting my facts from reputable sources as I'm looking at Wikipedia. Um just so I don't get anything wrong. So for those of you who don't know, Roe v. Wade was a Supreme Court case that happened in 1973, and it was a court case in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States generally protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion. And I want to say there's more to that court case. I don't think it just covers abortion. I think there's more to it, but that's like the biggest thing with it, right? Okay, and so I have this article pulled up from CNN, which basically just gives like a couple of highlights as to what this to what them overturning this decision means. And so right here they have that the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade Friday today. Wait, about today. Holding that there is no longer a federal constitutional right to an abortion. Going forward, abortion rights will be determined by the states unless Congress acts. Read the court's opinion here. Okay. Okay. So yeah, basically, instead of abortion being protected under the Constitution, not under the Constitution, under Roe v. Wade on a national level, now it's going to be determined by each individual state. So your state, whatever state that you live in, your governor, your state government is going to decide how they're going to handle abortions and preventative pregnancy, stuff like that. And so this is really scary. And obviously you have both sides, right? You have the pro-lifers and the pro-choice, and whatever the case may be. Um, and so I'm just gonna put it out there. I think that women should have the right to choose what they do with their own bodies. I literally cannot understand how anybody would even think that it's okay for anyone, especially old white men in the government, have the right to tell any woman that what to do with their body, and force a woman to have a child, that they and that's another thing too. Like, this could be a whole like, this video could be long, and I'm trying not to make it too long, but it's just the fact, it's the audacity, like, there are a plethora of reasons why a woman may want to terminate her pregnancy early. But my whole thing is, that reason does not matter. And I think that's where things get a little tricky, because you have some people that are like, okay, well, maybe abortion should be okay in certain situations. To be completely honest with you, the reason should not matter. If they don't want the child, that should be their right. I don't understand why people get so worked as if it's their child. I think that's the thing too, right? It's like, you have, again, these men who aren't carrying the damn thing, and then you have people, outside people, who feel some type of way because the lady down the street wanted to end her pregnancy early. What effect does that have on you? Like, can we go back to the days where people just minded their own business and just worried about what's going on in their lives? Like, if you get pregnant and you don't believe in abortions, then keep your kid. But why do you care if Susan down the block has her child? Like, that has no effect on you. And so I don't, and I understand too that some people like to play the religion card, like it's against your religion or whatever. But again, that has nothing to do with you. Because, for one, like, no, like, okay. So, I know when it comes to Christianity, there's a lot of people who feel like if you terminate a pregnancy early, that you are killing a living being, and that goes against the teachings of the Bible or whatever, right? It still boils back down to, it still doesn't affect you. Like, for one. For two, not everybody believes in the same things. Not everyone has the same beliefs. Not everyone practices the same religion. We live in a country where you have freedom of religion. You have people who don't believe in religion at all. And so, I just, I don't understand why we live in this world where people feel like they have to force other people to believe in the same things that they believe in, when it literally has nothing to do with them. And I just, like, this is just so, it's sick. Like, it's sick. Like, for them to make this decision about women's bodies is just insane to me. And, going back to the reasons, like, again, no reason is a bad like, if you don't want a child, you should have the right and the freedom to make that decision, if you are able to make that decision, right? But yes, there are also some extreme cases that people don't think about. Like, I'm not gonna say the word, but when you are sexually assaulted by a family member, and it leads to like, you honestly want that person to be forced to keep that child, or just that in general, like, being sexually assaulted by anyone. Like, they may not want to keep that child because they don't want to be tied to the person that did that to them, and they should have that right to do that. Or they don't want to bring a child into the world because they know that they can't take care of it, whether they mentally are not ready, whether financially they're not ready. And, we can get to a whole nother conversation about how, how the government and how society doesn't really help people, with children. It's like, y'all want to force people into having kids, but then you don't want to help them and provide them the resources to give that kid the best life. And then these kids end up in, foster care, and, having trauma, and, like, there's so many layers that can't even be fit into one video because it's so much. And I just feel like all of that was not considered in making this decision. And a lot of that isn't even considered for these people that are so like, oh, like, every, like, huh. It's just, it's very frustrating, and it's very scary to see how we are regressing. And like, it's like we've made, we could make a whole lot more progress, but we've made so much progress in so many areas. It just feels like we keep taking steps backward. And I just feel like the world that we live in today is just so scary. And it's like, y'all were so quick to make a decision like this, to force babies to come into this world, right? But then you have babies getting shot in school, and nothing's been done about it. It's just, people's priorities are messed up. And that goes into my next point, which is that, you know, it does all come down to voting, y'all. I know that's also something that people go back and forth about. There's a lot of people who feel like voting doesn't do anything at all. What's the point? There's got to be another way. But honestly and truthfully, y'all, like, I can't even talk. Honestly and truthfully, like, the people, like, it does start locally. And the people that end up, there in the Supreme Court, in the US government, the people that end up there, they start locally. They start down here. And like, this is why it's important to pay attention to who's being voted into office and stuff like that, because these are the people that are ending up making these decisions for you. And that's why you have to pay attention to these people's platforms and what they believe in, because if they believe in something that you genuinely don't believe in, you don't want these people to be in power to make decisions that affect you in a negative way. And so I really hope that with this situation, it does wake people up a little bit to pay a little bit more attention to what's going on. Like, I know recently, I believe the governor of DC, I think, she had got reelected, and people were fuming in the comments because, under her leadership, there's been a lot of issues that have been going on in DC that just have not been resolved. And now she's been reelected, and people were really upset. But then you also have people being like, well, y'all are in the comments upset, but y'all didn't go vote. The voter turnout was really, really low, and people did not go out there and make sure that she was not in that position again. And so that's what I mean. Like, you really do, like, and I get it. Politics is boring. Politics isn't exciting. It's not something that people actively want to be in. But then, as you can see, it does end up affecting you in some way, and there's no way to ignore it. Um, and so, yeah, like, I just would recommend, again, getting involved in, your local government, because it does start there. Like, you forget all of these presidents, all of these people in politics, they all started locally and they worked their way up. And so you got to get them folks out the way early. Now, I'm going to be reading some of y'all's responses, and I appreciate to the few that sent a response in. So, someone said, "I'm so mad right now and I can't find the right words." That's how I feel. Like, obviously it's ridiculous. Like, this decision was so ridiculous, and there isn't much to say other than it's terrifying, it's sick, it's disappointing, but it's like, how much more of that? Like, it just feels like something always happens, like, every other week. We're just like, oh, this is like so horrible. But then it just feels like it's just a never-ending cycle of horrible stuff happening. Someone else said, "The poor will stay poor while the rich get abortions without consequences. It's America." Now, there has been some conspiracies that this decision will affect certain communities more than others, more particularly the Black and brown communities, and that people that are more well off and people that are of the majority, they will find a way to have safe legal abortions, while other people suffer. And so I don't rule that out at all. I don't put nothing past nobody, especially the government, because we all know that there's a lot with the government being corrupt, and doing corrupt things in the past. So I would not be surprised if, something like that ends up happening. Someone else said, it seems like women come second in the US. Women's rights are not protected. And yeah, like, you know, women in general have had to fight for a lot of the same rights as men historically. This is just another case of, women just not being prioritized in this country, our rights not being prioritized in this country. And it's a shame. Like, we should not still have to fight these things. We shouldn't still have to fight abortion rights. We shouldn't have to fight for, equal salaries. Like, there's just so many things like that is just wrong. And women just, they do get the short end of the stick a lot of the times. And it really, really does suck. And another thing too I wanted to touch on as well is that with this decision, like, yes, it's directly affecting abortion rights, and like I said, it varies from state to state. And I would not be surprised if some of these states that decide to make abortion illegal, I would not be surprised if there was a huge surge of people leaving that state and moving out and going to another state. Now, I also know that that's not easy. Because I hate when people because people do this with states, and people do this with the whole entire United States, where it's like, if you don't like something that's going on, people are so quick to be in the comments and say, oh, well, just move then. Just get up and move and go somewhere else. Like, that's so ignorant, first of all. Second of all, not everyone can just pack up and leave. And you have a right as a citizen, as a resident of the country and of the state, to voice your opinions and say how you feel about certain things, and to fight for what's right. And to say, like, oh, you should just leave. No, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna fight for what's right. And because as citizens, we deserve to be heard, and we deserve for our opinions and our rights to be, taken seriously. And so I hate when people say that. But also, to, like, back to what I was saying, right? Like, yes, this directly affects abortion, but just think about it. If they were able to do this, what else are they gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, the fact that they were able to get away with undoing such a big case like this that protects so many people, imagine what else they're gonna do. Imagine what else they're gonna overturn and take back. Like, and this is why I say voting is important, because these people now in office, like, they just don't seem to care. They just don't seem to care at all about what's going on. And I know people like to blame Joe Biden a lot for everything that's going on. I don't know for sure off the top of my head how much power Joe Biden has over certain things, because I know too, like, there is a sense of checks and balances that happens in the government. And so it is possible for I keep saying the government because I can't think of the specific terms right now, but there's a certain section of the government that, like, they are able to make decisions and overpower the president in certain ways. And if the president isn't able to, Congress, that's what it's, if the president isn't able to get Congress on their side, then they have a hard time, passing laws. So it's not as easy as people make it seem, especially even with the student loans things, right? Like, he can't just sign something and make student loans go away. He has to get Congress and the Senate and all of them to get on his side. And so, but that's a whole other thing, right? But anyway, okay, back to what I was saying. So just think about everything else that can be affected as a result of this, like birth control. Like, you can't take away birth control, but with this going on, you never know. They might say, like, well, look, this is considered a, contraceptive that prevents pregnancy, and, this could technically be illegal, so let's get rid of it. Like, you never know where this could lead. And it's one thing to say, okay, you can't get rid of a baby after it's been conceived. But to say that you can't even prevent yourself from getting pregnant is insane. And please do not be in my comments talking about some, oh, well, just don't have sex. Shut up. Like, be quiet. Like, please. Like, no. Like, no. You can't, like, people got to stop. Like, people have got to stop. People have got to mind the business that affects them. Stop trying to force your beliefs onto other people. If you want to abstain, go right on ahead. But trying to make everybody else abstain from that, like, I don't know. It's giving y'all are trying to control women. It's giving y'all are trying to control women's bodies. And yes, this does affect women. Yes, men are involved in the baby making process, and yes, in certain scenarios they should, my opinion, they should have a little bit of a say, or they should be able to express their opinions or feelings when it comes to them and their specific partner in whatever decision that they decide in terms of having a baby or not having a baby. Or at least that's just how I would operate. But all in all, though, men should not have complete control over women and what they do with their bodies. Like, I have even heard of women who are married who have gone to get abortions, and the clinic made them bring their husband in to, like, co-sign or to sign off on them. Basically, they had to get permission from their husband to do that. Or even when it came down to I also heard about getting your tubes tied, right? Like, because when you get your tubes tied, that, you know, is supposed to prevent you from ever getting pregnant. And so I've even heard of women too, like, they'll go in to get their tubes tied, but if they're married, they have to get permission from their husband. Like, the husband has to tell the clinic, like, hey, like, this is okay. And I just think that's so wild. Granted, ethically, you should have that conversation, and your significant other should be on board. But all in all, it is your body at the end of the day. And so if that's a decision that you decided to make, then that is your decision. Like, it's just, it's such weird times, man. And like I said, if you know, disagree or you feel strongly against what I'm saying, feel free to unfollow or whatever. I don't care. Like I said, everyone's entitled to how they feel about abortion, but I don't think that whatever you believe should be pushed onto other people. Same the other way around. Like, just because I believe that women should have the right to decide what they do with their bodies, I'm not gonna go to a pro-lifer and be like, you know, you're wrong. And the only time I'm gonna do that is if they're trying to force their beliefs onto other people. But, like, if you genuinely don't believe in having abortions, I'm not gonna sit there and talk you into trying to have an abortion. Like, that sounds crazy, right? It's also crazy the other way around. If you don't believe in having abortions, don't sit there and try to convince somebody to not have one if they have their mind made up and they have their reasoning, and, like, and also, you don't have to support them. Like, like, that's the thing. You don't have to agree. Like, you don't have to agree. Like, you make the decision that is best for you and your body and your family and your household. Why are you so worried about what the next person is doing? Why does that bother you so bad? And that applies to anything across the board. Stop worrying about how other people are living their lives. At the end of the day, laws should allow for you to make your own decision about what's going on with you. Laws should not be oppressing people and taking away the right to think for yourself and make decisions for yourself. No, it's, this country is supposed to be about freedom. Give people the freedom to make those decisions. And if you disagree with them, fine, then disagree. But to try and make people live their life the way you want them, the way that you live your life, is just, it's ridiculous. I will never understand that mindset. And yeah, I don't know. But this is just, it's unreal. And I've been following this whole thing because this was leaked not too long ago, but just to see it come to light is just wild to me. Like, I just did not think that this was actually going to happen. And like I said, if they're able to do this, y'all, there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake, and there's a lot that can happen in these next couple of years if we are not paying attention, because there's a lot of people too who didn't even know this was happening until it happened, and so that's a problem, and we really need to be paying attention and focusing on how to just make things better, because slowly but surely our freedoms are getting taken from us, and that's just a really crappy situation to be in, on top of everything else that's going on. Like I said, like, adulting has just been so ghetto lately. Like, again, between just like inflation of everything going up. Y'all know gas is high as a kite. Um, just everything, like, grocery stores are, high. Rent is getting up there. There's shortages of everything. That's another thing too that someone had brought up, which is funny because the tweet that I saw, the account that made this tweet got suspended, but they were speaking some facts. So I don't know what that's about. But there was a tweet that someone had screenshotted, and they basically talked about how there's also, there's not enough resources for these kids that y'all are forcing into this world, and there's a whole baby formula shortage right now, and there's nothing being done about that. It's like, like, it's so crazy, the world that we live in today. And again, with the inflation, and with the inflation and the lack of, like, salaries not being increased to accommodate for the inflation, the world is a mess. And I just keep hoping and praying that things get better, because I just don't want history to repeat itself, but it's already repeating itself, and it's so sad and it's so tragic. But yeah, please leave your comments down below, your respectful comments down below, even if you disagree with me. Leave your comments down below. Be respectful. And yeah, just let me know, please, what you guys think about this whole situation. I do actually really want to hear what you guys have to say. So please, leave a comment down below about how you guys feel about this decision being overturned. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Or if you're old and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you guys do that as well. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.